Hey, welcome back. So here we are drawing again. I love to draw, and it's good to get your inspiration from all over the place. You never know where you're going to be inspired from. Great place to be inspired from is television or movies. You can kind of start with kind of those ideas and those people that you see kind of where they take you. One of my favorite movies. I love this movie, and some people probably it's old. It's like Escape from New York. John Carpenter. He's makes those creepy, cool movies with the crazy music. But his stories, it's like they're adventures, but they're really kind of these characters that are in these shows, these strange people that are just interesting. I don't know if you see some of these characters anymore, but it's kind of fun to revisit them, kind of reimagine them or put them into different situations of your own stories. And it's not the same character because you're being inspired by it. You're not really stealing because it's a drawing, it's a cartoon, it's something new. Just taking an old idea and bringing it back to life. And so much time was spent creating these characters and these personalities, and why would you want to let them just go away and die, or just be forgotten? It's like all the genius that was put into them. Kind of be inspired by them. Kind of what's the next step in their evolution? How would they fit into a story that you would tell? And how could you change them to kind of make them unique? Something that is a almost maybe you might call it a homage to the original. It's not the same, but it's inspired by something else. We look at things so much. We see images and people, and you can't help but be inspired by them. It's like they're going to influence you, and nobody can really own anything. It's not like you're plagiarizing or copying the Mona Lisa. You're taking something and taking that idea and where can that idea go? It's like keep some of these things alive. It's like theater. Everybody's reinterpreting what the original artist or a writer has said in kind of a new way by keeping that idea. And now we have such a rich culture of characters and ideas and things that are, have been thrust on us. And how can we help but, be influenced by them? It's like, you're not necessarily copying, but, it's like you're taking these ideas and turning them into something new, something fresh, and that's kind of what we're doing here. Kind of looking at some of these characters that John Carpenter has inspired, worked with all these talented people who are able to bring these characters to life. And, it's like sometimes you don't need something new. I mean, it's go back and find something that inspired you and use that as a jump off point. Here I've got this character, and a big part of his hair. He's got this almost like, I don't know, you'd think he was inspired by maybe the Bride of Frankenstein. And that could be, that this hair came from the Bride of Frankenstein. And they changed it a little bit. I mean, this guy definitely has kind of a Frankenstein look. He's got these dark eyes and this flat forehead, and maybe I need to come up a little bit. Maybe he's got a little, maybe exaggerated a little bit, even more. Sometimes just a little bit of exaggerated can kind of help bring that character. See, now he's got this wide forehead, these cheekbones. Sometimes it's like you can see that's the skull. If you have a skull, the eyes are like this. They're not this way. They're down, and then you have the cheekbones kind of coming down. You got these cheekbones right here, and that's what we're seeing here. These cheekbones, and then he's got this very gaunt looking thin face and coming around, and he's got a little small chin. This just rounds around his neck. Looks like he's got a handkerchief around his eyes. So we've got this character now. Let's go down a little bit. It's smaller. Oh, I disconnected it. Let's see, we want to look down. What's down? To go the hard way. Come over here and get my down a little bit. Up. Oops, I don't need this. Let's see, let's look at the shape of his hair. I want to look at hair as a shape. You can't really see hairs as, individual hairs. Even when I'm drawing hairs, I'm thinking of the shape that it's making. So it's kind of coming up here. It's kind of bending back. So we have this big wall of hair kind of going back, and it's really these big clumps. So I got a big clump here. Let's go a little bigger brush. Got a big clump here, big clump, 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 and then it's kind of one here, and then kind of come around. So you think of these hairs as kind of these clumps, these shapes that kind of curl back. Then it gets a little easier for you to kind of manage. Yeah, you're not trying to draw the individual hairs. If you do that, you're gonna just drive yourself crazy. One of the things that we learned from the abstractionists is, and you see this in a lot of comics, especially in Jack Kirby's work, that there's a lot of abstraction in the illustration or in the cartoon. So you can look at this and say, okay, this is kind of my pencil drawing, because I'm working digitally. So, I start with the blue to kind of, figure out where things are. Then I go with the black, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer. Let's go new layer. Take this layer, and we're going to bring down the opacity. It really doesn't matter what software package. I'm not even going to get into what software packages I use. It doesn't really matter. You can use any software package. It doesn't. PC, Mac, iPad, iPen, Wacom. It's like, as long as you've got something that's got a pen, then you can make it work. And honestly, most programs, most software now, it really, a lot of it looks the same. I mean, even when I'm teaching in my classes, I don't really teach software. I'll teach technique, and students can use kind of any software that they want. And if I'm trying to learn all the software, then I'm an expert at pushing buttons and knowing the softwares. And it's like, I've gone down that road before. And the most powerful software is the software that it's like some people are always chasing gear or chasing, what's the best way or what's the best pen or, oh, if only I had this. And that has nothing to do with anything. That's algorithms trying to sell you something. So, whatever you're using, and, you could use paper and tracing paper or paper and a window. Because, the Disney artists, what they did, they would draw something and then they would redraw it. They would, like I'm doing, they would draw over it, trace until they know where everything is, so they can concentrate on, okay, so now I've got this character, I can figure out, what's important. And myself, eventually, most of the characters I create are going to go into storyboard form, either going to comic form, or I'm going to animate them. And that's kind of what I'm doing this channel for, is I'm getting ready to start making some cartoons on the internet. Not ready to do it yet. I'm working on it. They're in various kind of points of work that I've been working on these things for my whole life. It's just, now it's getting to the point where, okay, I'm getting older, and, I can control my ideas. Because I was always my entire life afraid, scared to death someone's going to take my idea and just ruin it. And you see this in, a lot of movies and media and stuff where, it's like, okay, I don't need to use any examples, but, you'll see something where it's like, oh my God, that was such a good idea. It seems like such a missed opportunity. And like, if only they would have thought about it a little bit. But so many times, when you get a bunch of people together and they all want to get creative, a lot of times the idea gets lost amongst all the different ideas. And, collaboration has its place. I can't say that collaboration is bad, but I'm a big on, direction. That, okay, there's a big idea here, and I don't want the big idea to get lost. And probably one of the most difficult parts of working with other people, especially working with other creatives, there's ego involved, and you would hope that, okay, well, they're artists and they're better, and artists are like regular people. Okay, they have egos and they can get selfish, and just because you can draw doesn't make you, you're a better person or whatever. You're just a person like everyone else, and sometimes, it's because of, well, I want to do it my way, and at some point, those teeth are just huge. It's counterproductive. I know when I was living in Hollywood, I wanted to be involved. It's like when I played football. Hey, put me in, coach. I want to play. Let me make a contribution. But sometimes, if we're dealing with creative, someone has the idea, and the thing is that if you're invited in to support that idea, you support the idea. And a lot of times, a lot of people, they welcome new ideas. They want ideas, but only when they ask for them. It's like, okay, well, don't force me on ideas, or don't think that, well, it's my right, or, I want to have my idea. Well, sure. Well, then you can go and finance it, or come up with the idea, or bring it together. But it's real easy, I think, if some people that just kind of show up and then they want to take over, they want to take charge, they want to make your idea their idea. And you see that a lot, in some shows where there is just so many producers, so many people put money in, and the person that originally wrote it, or the director, they're along for the ride, and God bless them. They're getting paid to do that, and it'd be nice to make that kind of money, because they're getting paid. But it's somebody else's vision, and so I have my own vision, and I'm always interested in ideas. But at some point, I'm not a student, and this isn't collaborative, and this is my project, and this is my art, and I'm willing to say, okay, well, for this, I want to decide what the characters are going to do, what's going on, and I want to have options. I want people to, it'd be great to have a writer's room where, somebody's always kind of coming up with some cool ideas, but you want to make sure that if it's your idea, that they're not just kind of introducing, well, what they want to do because it's what they want to do, because it's like, well, can I have an idea too? I'm like, well, sure. You can have an idea. Why don't you have an idea and you do all the legwork? But there are people in this world that they just want to take. They're used to getting their way, and they want to take things. And some things need to be taken. There are some ideas that I think we wouldn't have things if somebody hadn't gone in. But with my work, I'm really interested in, well, what will my work become? As I steward and kind of uh, make sure that stays alive, as opposed to somebody's like, okay, well, I got this idea, or let's do it like these other people did, or what about this, or my girlfriend said this, or my wife said this, or wouldn't this be a great idea? And if you take money from other people, a lot of times you have to listen to those ideas, because you know what the golden rule is. He who has the gold makes the rules. That's just the way it is. I mean, it may not be fair, but that's the way it is. It's always been that way, and I don't think it matters how much it's unfair, or it's just going to be that way. And you have to be kind of aware of those things and realize that if you want to do that your ideas are going to change. And it might be that you get a chance to work with just some amazing creative people that you want your ideas to change, or you want your ideas to evolve. And that's tough. You get your idea to evolve. Wow. Now we're cooking with gas. Now you've got an idea that can move into other things, and can just live and grow, because you've taken that step of kind of making sure that you've taken that step to kind of really create a what is that word I'm looking for? A standard, something kind of like Star Trek. I mean, they hired people that were really good writers, and they had really good designers, so that even today you can go back to those original designs and still tell a story, and just know that that's just awesome. And sometimes it's like an architect. You have like Maya Lin. You have a really strong, clear vision, and I mean, this comes from time. It's like it just doesn't just happen, but over time, you can get these, a vision of how you want, your world to be. It's like what's going on, or what is the story. And if someone may not understand that, and I know that's been my experience, is like not everybody understands what I'm doing, and so if they don't understand it, they're gonna try to fix it, and especially if they don't know what the story's about or where it's going. Or maybe a lot of times in my stories, it's kind of organic. I have a general idea of what's going on, with the characters. I kind of know kind of where they're going, and there are natural conflicts, and the story can kind of unfold organically without having to know everything. But we're living in a world where everybody now, they want to know the magic trick. I mean, it's like, as artists we create, but everybody wants to pull aside the curtain, and they want to know, how did you do it? What's the end result? And sometimes I think your ideas, they just need to breathe a little bit. They just need a chance to grow and to live, and to see kind of what can this character become, or what is this story. It's like, how can it change? And we do that, just by working it. I mean, as all artists, I mean, it's like we're kind of working it. We have a process, and money doesn't really like process. They just want kind of results. Just get me an audience, get me money, and sometimes it just, you miss opportunities by maybe you need a little extra time, and you see a lot of big projects where they spend all their money in promoting it when they should have maybe spent a little bit more time developing it, or seeing where the creator was taking the project. I don't know what I'm talking about. Sometimes I'm just talking. Somebody's saying, Michael, you know what you're talking about. No, I don't. Tell me. Give me the answer. It's like, I want to make him bigger. Chin. Just gonna see where this character goes. You can see how very quickly you can go cartoony. And that comes from, when you draw people, or you start learning to draw, and you draw and build as opposed to copy, you can abstract and create something new. And I can take this back and get it back a little bit more realistic. Once we give him some becoming more of a hero. And I'm just kind of looking, starting with that character. This is where you can really start just kind of cartooning. And, just adding kind of different shapes. Different gestures. That's what you really want to experiment with. It's like once you get a character, then you want to see, well, what happens when they start acting? When you start giving them some emotions. Become totally original. Started with that character from a John Carpenter movie. Looks like a little Eraserhead going on there. Different characters, back to that original guy. It's like if I go back, the eyes are a little too big, a little bit too cartoony. That's a problem that I tend to hit a lot, is my eyes tend to get bigger just because of my my lens. I've spent so much of my youth looking at cartoons, and they're always big. straight. Big forehead. Really go down there. Got those eyes that drop. So they drop like that. Wide nose. And then he's got this really thin lip. Back to the original. Let's see what it's going to give me. And the original, it's nice. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Closer to the eye. Little things like, you know, how close, you know, that angle is right there, you know, and then you've got underneath his eye, his bags. I've probably been doing all sorts of crazy substances that got him arrested in the first place. And he's got these big teeth. There you go. The teeth are really a big part of his character. And he's got this kind of chin. It's wide, but it's not really wide. He's got this little button on his chin here. Goes down. So now we're getting back to that original character. And actually, we see a little bit of his kind of a droopy in his eyebrow. Yeah, that's kind of his character too. Back to that kind of Frankenstein-y look. Kind of hair is kind of flares out. You can imagine this guy is probably, you know, a dandy. It's like, you know, these characters, they really care what they look like, you know, their image. You know, probably drives their behavior. It's like, you know, it's like, well, they've got this image to live up to. Not really working with color right now because I'm not, you know, you want the character first. Color is a whole nother conversation. When we start dealing with color, then we're going to start thinking about color theory and, you know, what are the characters' colors, and, you know, what do those colors represent, and, you know, so we got to think about lighting. You know, where's the light coming from, and, you know, what does lighting talk to this character about? You know, how does, you know, those are all things you want to think about when you start taking that to the next level. But, you know, it's not really something that we need to worry about right now, because we're just kind of finding the character. And once I find the character, then I'll use that character. You know, I'll do a front view, a side view, a 3/4 view, a couple different views, and then I'll change the expressions, and then create a kind of a Bible or a book of that character. So, you know, I don't have to keep redrawing that character. I've already designed that character. I don't need to redraw that character, because you're not trying to prove to somebody how good you can draw. If that's why you're kind of doing art, you're thinking that you need to prove to somebody. It's like it's a losing battle. It's tough because no one knows you're an artist, and I'm always drawing. I'm always, everywhere I go, I've got a sketchbook or my iPad or my Mobile Studio Pro or something, and or I'm taking pictures. But it's like, unless you're dressing funny and you're decorating your face, and that's what people consider artists now, and or you're a musician, because that's how the world looks, for art. It's like, oh, you're a singer, you're a great artist. Like, but if you draw, they might look at you, well, you're a dilettante, or you're a child. And that's a problem I have sometimes in my art classes that I teach, that a lot of students, because they're not very far away from elementary school or junior high school, and they're looking at, they want to look older, and they're looking at, well, art is something for kids. And it's unfortunate that they sometimes take that attitude into adult life, which quickly becomes the adage, I can't draw. Oh, you're so talented. Oh, you've got, you were given a gift. And for the longest time, these were really trigger words for me, because I worked really hard at this, and no one gave me anything. I had to work at everything I do, and I still do. You have to continue working at whatever you do. And when someone just tells you, and honestly, they're probably just trying to make conversation, but when they say things like that, it doesn't make you feel very good. Or they'll often say, oh yeah, my friend or my daughter, they're so creative, they do this, and like, it's like, are you trying to end the conversation, or are you just trying to make this about you? I haven't figured that out yet. There's definitely some of it in me, some of my own insecurities about what I'm doing, because it's like, if I'm doing something, I'm doing it. Kind of like sometimes when I'm out in the middle of nowhere, or I'm drawing, and I get a lot of people that'll sit for me, and then somebody will kind of come in and start talking to my model, and I'm like, what are you doing? And I don't know if they're being cute, or they're just being, jerkified. Which is, how do you deal with that? You want to involve everybody, but at some point, it's like, people just like, they take things. Because there are people in the world, that's what they do. That's what they do. They just take. They don't create. They just take, things that other people make, and make them money. And they get away with it. And what are you going to do? Nothing you can do. Life's not fair. Keep drawing. So, enough of that. We got this one character, and we'll see what we can do with him, and maybe do a side view and work it a little bit more. But that's all we got, and we'll see you next time here. Bye-bye.